Hey, Ronnie Dahl, Four Wheeling Australia. Welcome to steel shackle versus soft shackle. Have you ever wondered what you need and which is better? Well, all will be revealed in this video. There are a few other videos kicking around, but they fail to cover a lot of different things, like all the different combinations, and it's not necessarily which one beats the other one. It's more about, do you need both? And if you do need both, why? And in what situation should you use one over the other? Stay tuned and we'll find out. So that we all understand what we're looking at, especially if you're new to four-wheel drive recovering, I'm going to quickly explain how these work. Very simple. The steel shackle basically goes like this. And this is called a bow shackle because of the sort of bow shape here. It's not called a D shackle, which some people refer to it as. These most commonly come in these two sizes. This one's a 4-tonner, this one's a 3-tonner. The braking strength is usually 5 times the amount of what it's rated at with its working load limit, which makes this one here around 24-ton braking strength, this one here around 16-ton braking strength. Putting these down and aside, but those are the two most common sizes you'll see. Soft shackles. They are in all different colours and size ropes and whatnot, but they all seem to be rated at the same amounts. So all these are rated at braking strength ranging from 13.5 tonnes up to about 15 tonnes. And that is well and truly more than enough. Some have sleeves, some don't have sleeves. The sleeve is there to protect it, I guess, but it doesn't really make that much difference in my opinion and my experience. Time for pros and cons. We're going to look at all the strengths and weaknesses of each one. We're not putting them up against each other because they both have a valid place in your recovery kits. And we'll get to how many you need of each, or what I recommend, but we're going to find out the strengths and weaknesses. So first of all, if a failed recovery happens, this will kill you, or could kill you, highly likely. If this comes flying at you, or at an occupant, or through a back window, or through a front window, straight into the occupants, this can kill you if not done correctly.
That's all the way in.
This is the bow shackle that was at the other end. Now that actually hit the back of the dozer, which is why it's sort of squashed in now. So Dylan's holding it right now, showing us. Listen out for this noise. That's the noise of the bow shackle hitting the dozer. And if this soft shackle comes flying at you, or this one, or any of the other ones, it may give you a fair whack in the face, but it's not going to kill you. Let's do the bucket test. It's pretty obvious what these two will do, but let's have a look anyway. But what happens when you dump a soft shackle into the water? Let's put this into perspective. You're doing a river recovery, the water's flowing, this will go downstream or upstream or whatever. It may float away from you. You have to chase it. This will drop to the bottom. You may find it, you may not find it. They both have a bit of an issue there. But when they're attached to a vehicle, let's go back to the bucket and you'll see what happens. So my point here is, if you're doing a recovery on your mate and he's bogged in a mud hole or in some water, you know that the soft shackle is going to be floating up. And it's probably going to be easier to find. The biggest weakness with the steel shackle is being an absolute pain in the butt when you're trying to put straps in there. So sometimes when you're using a tree trunk protector from a tree for a recovery and you're going to do a winch, you got to try and put the strap in here. And not only that, you got two heads of the strap in here, and then you have your snatch block. So you can see the trouble you're going to have here fitting all those straps in here, all in this one setup. But when you take Dyneema rope, there is so much more room. You got room for bulk straps in here, big straps, small straps, anything you like. There is so much room in here. And once you have it rigged up, you can still run the rope through. This style here requires you to undo the pin, pull this out, and you must open this up to thread the rope through, close it up, then try and get your straps in, then try and get that in, and then all at the same time, this is quite heavy, you're trying to hold the strap taut so you can still fit it in there, and you're trying to do all this at once. Sometimes you need two people to do that because it's just a pain. So yes, fitting straps in there is not always the easiest thing to do. Let's look at recovery points. So these are front recovery points on a vehicle. Now, let's just get the bad thing out first. You should not be using these. And the reason for that is because it has a sharp edge. These sharp edges here will cut away at your rope, and eventually they'll just fail because there is a very sharp edge here. It's not good. The same goes for this type of recovery point. It has a sharp edge. Now, if you do have a sleeve on it, yeah, it may protect it for a little bit, but the amount of pressures you are exerting on these points, on this pinch point, it's not good. It will fail eventually. So do not use these kind of soft shackles on those sharp edges, especially with recovery points. And this is where the steel shackle comes in. It doesn't matter how sharp the edge is, it is not going to fail. It's metal on metal, it can take the punishment. This is hardened steel. Now let me just add to the front recovery point there. There aren't any options that I know of at the moment that have a smoothed or beveled edge on a front recovery point. So all those points will have to be used with a steel shackle as far as I know. We have the rear recovery points. This one here is by Max Trucks. This is like a new thing they've just brought out. This is how this works. Now both of these can only be used with one or the other. So this one here cannot fit a bow shackle in it. There is just no room for it. But it has smooth edges. This is made for a soft shackle. This one here on the other hand is only made for steel shackles. And this is actually a really good option too. This is something that everyone should have in their vehicle, one or the other. But there are some added weaknesses to both of these. You can see on this one, it has all this abrasion here. You shouldn't drive around with this hanging out the back. If your departure angle touches a rock and the rope gets snagged in there, it's going to rub, it's going to cause abrasion, it's going to wear through your rope's going to fail, and you no longer have a soft shackle. So if you have one of these soft shackle rears, you must remove this and have it at the ready to put on, and then you recover. This is where this has a bit more of an advantage, and that is you can drive around like this. It doesn't matter if it slams down or slams up or goes sideways into something. This can take punishment. Yes, sometimes the pin's hard to undo, but it can take punishment. The drawback, however, if you're driving around with this in the rear and you become complacent with it, when you're on corrugations, this can slowly rattle loose and loose. And once it's loose, it's going to keep going, and pin's going to go one way, shackle's going to go the other way. You're missing a shackle. The soft shackle will never ever rust because there's no metal components in it. However, it is at the mercy of abrasion, sharp edges, and UV sunlight. It's not good for it. So this must be kept out of sunlight, and it must be kept out of harm's way when it comes to sharp rocks, sharp edges, and abrasive surfaces. This, on the other hand, can take all that punishment. It doesn't matter. You can throw anything at this, but it can become rusty. And when it becomes rusty, it can seize up. It's pretty easy to avoid though, as long as you keep lubricating it with something like Strike Hold, which is my favorite thing to use, or Inox MX3, or even just WD-40. Just some water displacement that's going to help it prevent rusting. Soft shackles, one size fits all. Bow shackles on the other hand, this is why I showed you the two different sizes. In some circumstances, the big one won't fit into certain people's recovery points. And I don't know why they've done that. I think it's a bit stupid that they don't all make them just this size, because fitting straps in this smaller size is an absolute pain in the ass. It is so annoying. Price-wise, quite expensive, quite cheap. These have been around for a long time in the rigging industry. There are a ton of these around. These are only for four-wheel drive recoveries, as far as I know. And these have a bit of a hefty price, anywhere from $50 to $100. These ones here, I think this one's about 15 to 20 bucks, and this one here is about 10 bucks. I'm going to show you two differences of a right and a wrong. This you're allowed to do. Sometimes it becomes handy, you want to join things together. This is an absolute do not do. Do not do this. Anyone who knows anything about four-wheel drive recovery, training, or tag-alongs in the four-wheel drive industry knows that this is not on. If you do this to join two straps together, you don't. You just don't. You don't add metal. All you're doing is you're adding more firepower, more ammunition to something that could go wrong. Can you imagine that flying at you? One's bad enough, now you got two. This, on the other hand, is totally fine, totally safe. And this leads me to something else. If you want to join two snatch straps together, you want to join a winch extension line to your winch hook, you want to join any strap for that matter with anything, these are awesome for that. These are so versatile. And that's why I love them so much. They're so easy to work with. Look how much space there is in here. You could join as many straps as you like in there. You can join as many of these with each other as you want. They're just so damn handy. You may think, in which situation would you do that? Well, there are plenty of different situations because you can use your winch to straighten out bent components. You can use it to move items with. You can use it to move trees that are blocking your path, rocks, whatever you want. Especially when you get to recoveries that require all different kind of hookups and different things, you're better off using this style here over these ones here. Well, ladies and gents, here we are. We're at the pointy end of the video, and we're now at the point that you really want to know. How many of each do you need? Do you need both of them? I'm going to put aside what I would choose, soft shackles and steel shackles, my combination, and I'll talk you through it why. And then you can make your choice based on my choice. Now this will be my unbiased, brutal choice. Everyone should have a recovery point, so this is already here. Now for that recovery point, I'm going to have to go a steel shackle. And it's going to be this size here. There's my steel shackle to my front recovery point. Then I'm going to look at a rear recovery point. And we have two options here. Now, to be honest, I wouldn't pick either of these two. But if I had to, I would pick this one. What I would pick is a brand called Factor 55. This can work with a soft shackle and a hard shackle. Goes in there. So as you see here, there's another Factor 55 one with a dead man soft shackle. So it's very versatile. So therefore, I would pick that one. But if I had to choose out of these two, I would go the steel shackle because I can leave it in the back and I know abrasion is not going to get to my soft shackle and it's always going to be ready. So that is what I would go with. Although you may see me using this, but I'm still testing it out. I think you know what my choice is going to be here. It is definitely going to be the winch ring over the snatch block. The snatch block is an absolute pain. It's heavy, there's not enough room in here, and you have to have a steel shackle with this type of snatch block. You can't use a soft shackle because it has these sharp edges. And also, it's bulky, it's heavy, it's gonna weigh down your recovery kit. This is the heaviest thing in your bag. This is new tech, this is smart tech. This is lightweight, it's aluminium, or aluminum if you're from America, and we have a light soft shackle strap on here. So that will be my choice here. Right, so we have everything. Now, you should always have an extra shackle. And you kind of already have an extra shackle because you're not going to be recovering from the front and the rear at the same time. So you have a spare shackle already. You also have a spare soft shackle because you're not always using the winch ring. You can use this for other things as well. But if I had to add spare stuff to it, I would go one more shackle as a smaller size in case I encounter someone who has a smaller recovery point and I can't help him with any of my other gear. That's where this comes in handy, and you can still use other of your own recovery gear as well, like straps and whatnot. It's just not that great because there's not much room in here. So we'll put that here, and then we are going to add another soft shackle to the mix. With these shackles, you have more than enough. 2 steel, 1 soft. If you are going to add any spares, you add 1 more soft and 1 more steel shackle. So I hope this has enlightened you, And I hope this helps you make your choice. Any questions? Comment down below. And if you want to change your combo, what would it be? What do you think of this gear talk video? Do you want to see some more? Request another topic if you do. Thanks guys, see you later.